Good evening. My name is Caitlin Collins, and this video is going to be on the Gilded 6 bits. I'm going to apologize in advance for any sound or visual issues. I do not have the best equipment, but this is the best that I have to work with. The Gilded 6 bits was written by Zora Neale Hurston in 1933 in order to highlight the African American lifestyle using regional dialect and metaphors. Hurston was known as the life of the party wherever she went. She made a memorable entrance at the awards dinner when she won second place for her story Color Struck. She wore a colorful scarf around her neck and walked into the dinner before declaring, "Color Struck!" loudly into the room. She garnered the attention she wanted when the room fell silent, and she literally stopped the party. Hurston is said to be the most successful and most significant black woman writer of the first half of the 20th century. Zora Neale Hurston had many themes, influences, allusions, and symbols that she used in the story of the Gilded Six Bits. Before we continue on to speak on the Gilded Six Bits, I would like to stop and make the statement about how I believe she was a feminist. I have read two of her stories, one of them of course being the Gilded Six Bits, and the other one being Their Eyes Were Watching God. I read Their Eyes Were Watching God in my English 4 AP class, and that was honestly one of my favorite stories to read by her. She, throughout those stories, which I will talk about Their Eyes Were Watching God more later in the video, throughout both stories, you can tell that she is writing the African American woman to be a strong woman. And like I said, I will speak more of this later, but I just wanted to bring it up early, but I shall continue now. Zora Neale Hurston's use of regional dialect enhances the story. If you look at Slimmon's name, it can be seen how he is a shady character. He's a liar. He cheats people out of their body in the case of Missy. Slimmers can be associated with the words slimy, slick, or slim. As a folklorist, Hurston has used her dialect in her works, including this one. She emphasizes the use of dialect by changing the spelling. So if you read throughout the story, you'll notice there'll be a lot of apostrophes. There'll be words that is shortened, but they're in apostrophe. That is an example of dialect. She uses slang and idioms commonly used during that time period. The use of black idioms and dialect can be seen as a way to create a sense of culture and community in a small black community. Because if someone's reading this book and they'd be like, hey, they talking how I talk, they can relate more to the story. But this as well as creating more a sense of culture and community, it also helps the story seem more original. The theme of Gilded Six Bits is pretty much things can appear one way, but they really not that way. An example of this is the gilded coin. Missy May was given a coin by Slimmons because because she slept with him in order to give the coin so that she could give it to her husband. But then she realized it wasn't actual gold, it was gold plated. So she literally did it for no reason. But the theme could also apply to people. Using Slimmons as an example again, he appears to be a rich man with a lot of gold, when in reality, he's a fraud, and he used the gold in order to trick women to sleeping with him. But then there's also Missy May, who she presents herself as this loving housewife who would never do anything to hurt her husband. While she did sleep with Slimmons in order to give the money to her husband, it is still the point that she gave up her body for some money. The theme can also refer to communication, because when Joe found out that Missy May was sleeping with Slimmons, he was hurt, and you knew he was hurt, but he laughed, and his laugh is covering how he actually felt about the situation. So that is a way of how communication could be shown, of how things may seem one way, but it's actually a whole nother way. Hurston also had many influences when it came to writing a short story. Hurston was married and divorced twice in her life. Both of her marriages was rocky, so they ended up becoming an inspiration for the Gilded Six Bits. Although she had rocky marriages, she truly believed that marriage provide important possibilities throughout throughout one's life. This is why, although Missy May cheated on her husband, at the end of the story, they got over her infidelity. She had this man child and everything. Hurston also studied anthropology, and this also influenced her writing of the Gilded Six Bits. She but she also, in a case of illusion, she alludes to the Bible a few times in the Gilded Six Bits. In particular, there was Lot's story where she was like, "Don't turn around and look back like Lot's wife," which when his wife did that, she turned into a pillar of salt. Um, the exact quote was, "Don't look back like Lot's wife and turn to salt." And then you could also say that she was alluding to the story of Hosea. Hosea's wife Goner committed adultery just like Missy, and Hosea attempted to buy back his wife with 15 shekels and some barley, and just like Joe was throwing silver coins into the house for Missy May, and just like Joe left the fake coin under Missy May's pillow. Um, another thing that was used greatly was symbolism, which like I had stated before, the Gilded Six Bits was written in 1933, which is the exact same year the United States abandoned the gold standard and went to paper and silver money. So it kind of like with Slimmons having gold money kind of symbolized him as being a counterfeit. And while we're on the topic of money, it also shows how money is very significant throughout this story. It's represented in the title. It's the reason why Missy May cheated on Joe. Joe was throwing silver dollars on the floor for Missy. And back on the topic of feminism, as I said before, Their Eyes Were Watching God was one of the novels that was written by Hurston. This book was like, it even inspired Alice Walker, who wrote The Color Purple, which was another amazing book. Throughout Their Eyes Was Watching God, it was telling the story of Jamie Crawford, who was a light-skinned, long-haired beauty. She wanted to, because of her skin color and how she looked, she expected to have better treatment in her life. She goes through these marriages that was just unnecessary, and then she ended up meeting a man named Tea Cake, who she ran away with, and she learned how to enjoy her life but also live for herself. So her story didn't end happily, but it's another case of feminism because she learned how to live for herself. In the case of Missy May realized she messed up by sleeping with somebody else, but she turned her life around and she became the loving housewife that she wanted to be. She had a child for this man and everything. So that is how like feminism also works itself into Missy May's story. But to conclude my video, I'm gonna give a little bit of background about Hurston. She was born January 7th in 1891. She was born in Alabama, but she moved to Enville, Florida when she was a small child. Her mother died when she was 13. Her father remarried, but once he got remarried, he was paying more attention to his wife and stopped paying attention to his children. This caused Hurston to do odd jobs just to be able to support herself. She ended up getting a job as a maid for a band, and she ended up in Baltimore where she decided to go back and finish high school. But she was like 26 at the time, so she had to take 10 years off her life so that she could be able to attend the school. So ever since then, Hurston's age was 10 years younger than what she actually was. By 1935, Hurston had graduated both high school and college, as well as published several short stories and a novel. In 1937 is when she published her novel Their Eyes Were Watching God, and Hurston's career spanned over 30 years, in which she was able to write 4 novels, 2 books of folklore, an autobiography, numerous short stories, and several essays and plays. I would like to thank you for listening to my video. I hope you enjoy your day, and I hope you have a good one.